Hey everybody, welcome back to the Hobby Lodge. In this video I'm going to talk about going to Zzap Live 2025. Yes, so my son and I just got back from Zzap Live 2025 in Warwick, Kenningworth. There was a Hilton hotel there that they'd hired out for the 2-day event. Unfortunately, we couldn't make 2 days. We had a spare Sunday, so we thought we'd fly up there and take a look around. I've never been to one of these events before. I've not been to a Zzap Live before, so I didn't know what to expect. But we drove up this morning, about 2.5 hour drive, and obviously we've driven home again. But I like to try and get these out as soon as I get back from an event, so it's all kind of fresh in my mind as much as it can be. So yes, just south of Birmingham, not too bad. Lots of the M1, M25, the classics, yeah, let's crack into what the event was all about. So for those that don't know, Zzap is and was and still is a magazine for the Commodore computers, so predominantly the Commodore 64 and the Amiga, of which I have lots behind. It's only fitting I sit in front of Commodore Corner to talk about this. It's a system that, if you've watched this channel for any length of time, you know I absolutely adore both. And so to go to a dedicated event for both of these platforms, it felt like it was a well worth trip going. This magazine was actually one of the pickups I got there, in that you got it for free when you went in. Well, you've paid for a ticket. But I have been getting the Zzap magazine again for quite some time. Slowed down recently because they unfortunately can no longer do the discs. That's one of the big reasons for me why I recollected the Zzap, was so that I could get cover discs. Big fan of a cover disc. Who wasn't? Being a kid, going to the magazine shop, buying a magazine that had a couple of tapes on the front, coming home, playing the games, just great fun. So yeah, to have that opportunity to do that again was brilliant. Of course, the discs, they just went out of print. You just cannot get the 5¼ floppy inch discs anymore. So it just stopped happening. Now they do still provide, if you resubscribe to the magazine, you can still get the digital files, and then you can obviously make your own discs and stuff. They even provide the labels for the disc and for the cover, I think, so that you can go the full whole hog and do that. But in this instance we did. Anyway, so Zzap Live 2025 is a yearly event. I don't know how many years they've now been doing it for. I don't know if it's come back and that, but it's a yearly event, all dedicated to the Commodore. Go there, experience loads of cool stuff. So when we went in, it was, I want to say, 5 rooms, quite smallish rooms, with one of them dedicated to the Amiga. So you went into there was a lot of the Amiga groups from around the area, like I think it was Yorkshire Amiga group, and there was another one. Lots of Amiga enthusiasts showing off their modded Amigas, new projects they're working on, and a bit of history about it. Another room very much dedicated to the Commodore, so way more Commodores 64s and older than there were Amigas, and again all laid out, joysticks, games, a lot of them with carts in the back so you could play multi games, and just, you know, loads of hands-on with Commodores if you wanted to. And then again, some people showing off their bits and pieces. Funny enough, there was a little arcade room. It wasn't huge. There was probably only 10, maybe 15 cabs in there, and it was half and half. It was half one-ups, half some originals, or some, I'm not going to say they were all originals, because I think some of them were, you know, your chip shop cabs that have been sort of built up, or even some custom cabs. So it was a nice little add-on of that. Beyond there, I'm trying to think what other rooms there was. In the corridor, there were lots of other systems actually. So whilst I went there thinking this would all be about Commodore, given that it's Zzap's event, actually there was lots of other systems there. The classic kind of, you know, the PlayStation 1s, the N64s, the Mega Drive, the SNES, all sort of laid out in the corridor for you to play. There was even a few Vectrexes, so we love the old Vectrex. Shame there was nothing going on with the Vectrex, and again, I get it, it's a Commodore show, but you had Vectrexes there, and it felt like they were just kind of like placed there and there was nothing going on. I did see the card for the neon kit black light for the Vectrex, which I'm really keen to pick one up because the blacklight kit on the Vectrex looks super cool. So yeah, I also got to play the Vectrex Pilot, which is Time Pilot converted for Vectrex, and that's a game I definitely need to pick up because I had a little play with it and it was fantastic. We then went off into like the vendor hall. Now I think the vendor hall must have been different on both days because a lot of the vendors I expected to see just weren't there. Now I can only assume they were there on the Saturday and maybe packed up and come home for the Sunday, or they swapped over because the event hall was very small, extremely small, and there were only about 6 stalls in there, maybe five or six stalls. 3 of them were selling books and magazines, so the Zzap people were there, and Pixel Addict and Amiga Addict, they were there as well, and the only people selling games was Cytronic, which is funny because I own most of Cytronic's library, as we know from behind me. So it would have been nice to have seen some other publishers there with their games and stuff. But hey, great to see Cytronic there, selling an absolute myriad of games. Unfortunately, like I say, I own most of them, if not all of them at this point. Yeah, we did also see a new game. So funnily enough, again, it's a Commodore show. It was Spectrum Next that was there showing some new games. One of them was actually this game here, which was called Warriors. And I'll get Clark to talk about this later on, actually. He actually sat down and played this game. So it's going to be a Kickstarter game by the looks of it. So if you want to freeze frame it, you might be able to scan that QR code or just go and look it up on Kickstarter. But it's got a very look and feel of Zombies Ate My Neighbors on the SNES. So yeah, go and check it out. It's a new game coming on the Spectrum Next. Where's all the new stuff for the Commodore, hey? But yeah, walked around there. They then had a talks hall where they had lots of people doing talks, obviously. We did try and go to one, but I had Clark with me, and you can imagine being a kid, they're very dry, you know. There's a lot of old dudes talking about video games and talking about nuances of pixels and ones and zeros, and that's not going to set every young person's life on fire, is it? So we managed to sort of listen to a bit of one, and then we kind of left and came back, and then we just kind of went around, played some games, had a nice lunch, came back, played a few more games, and then we left and came home. So my summary of the event, I will go into some pickups. I didn't pick up a huge amount, but I picked up a few bits. Was I think it's an enthusiasts event, and that's probably what I'm going to say is the people that should go to this. It's not your classic video game event or even retro video game event. Actually, it's hard to say, but I found the vibe of it was very much those that are deep into the community. It's a bit of a meetup for them. You know, a lot of the people there are very hardcore modders, programmers, are in the sort of community, know a lot of the people there, and you know, they enjoyed going there, meeting up, talking about all the projects they're working on, even meeting some of obviously the old school developers from back in the day and things like that. It didn't feel, as an outsider going in, I felt very much like an outsider going in. But that's fine. There's, you know, some events are not meant for everybody, and that's just the way it was, you know. So we found that once we'd been around a few bits and sort of looked at a few bits, there wasn't too much more for us to do. So we maybe took about an hour and a half to sort of go around the event and see the things we wanted to see without coming home. I mean, we've got all the games, we've got all the systems here, so anything we could play there, we could also play here. And again, that's different to some other people that might go. I'm just talking about personally my experience and my son's experience. So yeah, would I go again? Probably not. I think it's quite a distance to go for what is quite a small show. But I think if you're in that community quite heavily, like you're into your modding and you're into your game creation or your music creation, then I think that's probably where you're going to mostly find some great contacts to have in this space. So yeah, I could highly recommend it for that reason, because I think they're they're all there for you to have, right? Old or new. So yeah, that's, and also if you've got people you want to meet up with, I think it'd be better as a meetup event than say a family event. There we go. That's probably the best way I can describe it. But to take nothing away from it, obviously these people go out of their way to try and put these events on. I know how hard it is. I go to some huge events, so I can sometimes look at things in the wrong way. You know, coming back from Adepticon, coming back from Salute, coming back from some of the other big shows that I've been to, it can be quite difficult to go to then a very small niche show like this. But anyway, I thought it was great. So I'm not going to have any other bad words to say about it, apart from you should definitely go if you can. Right, let's jump into some pickups. So first up, when you walked in, as I said, you got your copy of Zzap Live 25 edition magazine. So I assume this is the one. Oh, there we go. Look, I've opened it up and there is actually a map inside of the thing. So you can see there. And you see, this is what I was saying about the traders on the left-hand side here. I didn't actually note this bit here, that half of those weren't there. Retro Passion, for one, he wasn't there as far as I could see. He's a great trader. I've had my Amigas repaired from him many times, or by that company, I should say. But yeah, a few of the others, they just weren't there, and that's okay. But yeah, so you got your magazine to go through. So at the show, you can have a look, obviously, when you get home. You also got a barking dog in the background. I'll apologise if you can hear her. But you also got a little pin badge, so a Zzap 64. Now, if the camera picks this up, I'll be amazed. A Zzap 64 40 years pin. So specifically, there we go. It did actually pick it up. Crikey, there we go. Nice little pin. We actually got two of those because obviously me and Clark went. This was the company that I was talking about. So the Blacklighter Ultraviolet. Again, I think they have a Facebook page, and I think you deal with them through Facebook or their website. Yeah, blacklighter.co.uk. So take a look at that. If you have a Vectrex, the UV kits they do, I highly recommend them. Very, very cool. We then go into the actual pickup. So the only real stall to buy anything gaming wise, as I said, was Cytronic, and I have a lot of their stuff. But if you didn't have their games, they had them all. They literally had the new tape collection sets or the cartridges as well. So you could have come home with 20, 30 games if you wanted to. You would have spent a fair bit of money, but you would have come home with a lot of homebrew games for, well, new releases for the Commodore 64. But this is one thing I picked up, and it's actually the last one. I'm told the last one available for sale. These are gone now, so I'm told I have the last one from the guy at Cytronics. And I said to him, is this one of those things where I walk away and you put another one on the table? And he laughed and said, no, genuinely, it is the last one. And it is the Ultimate Galway 64 Music Collection. So this is a big old cartridge. You slap it in the back of your Commodore 64, and you have the Galway collection of music, demo music, the whole shebang. So loads of great tunes on there. You get to listen to your SID chip sing in your Commodore 64. So yeah, the Galway collection menus, you've got the menus coded. Let's see if there are any other details on the back of this. No, you don't need to know who used to make the ROMs. But yeah, so I'll hopefully might be able to chuck up some B footage of this up and running. But I thought, being it was there and it was the last of its kind, and I'm easily sold, we picked up this so we can listen to some awesome chiptune music on the Commodore 64, which you can't go wrong with, frankly. Right, this one was an exclusive, and I thought this was well worth picking up. So this is a Zzap Live release of WoW, that's what I call shoot 'em ups, and it has 10 Cytronic shoot 'em ups on them, either old or new releases, mostly old ones. I don't think I own any of them in the sort of one-off release. So you've got Arena Special Edition, Bank Run, Border Blast 3, Cosmic Combat DX, Double or Nothing, Droid Rumble, Flying Cobra RX, Greyhawk, Operation Metal Storm and Split Second. And the nice thing about this, which he did say is becoming obviously extremely rare, is if you know me, I got to get the disc edition. The fact that there is a disc edition, oh, there's even a CD in there. I haven't actually looked what's in here, to be honest. I just picked it up because there were not many available left on the disc. There we go. So yeah, 10 shoot 'em ups on the Wow, that's what I call shoot 'em ups collection, and a lovely little instruction manual there. Cytronics always do lovely things. And this is a CD, I'm guessing with the music on. Yeah, there we go. And they do this as well. They have them as like almost like LPs. They look like they're black CDs. They're very cool. Look like an LP. So again, hopefully this will be a Monday Night Retro. We can just sit there and play 10 shoot 'em ups in a night and go through them all and see what they're like. I'm sure there's going to be, you know, varying levels of quality on there. But hey, we'll check it out, and maybe we'll do a top 10 of the top 10. Right. Couple of other things. Again, because I got all the games, I was looking for the stuff that the oddities, and they had 2 CDs there that I picked up. In fact, thinking about it, given that there was music in the Now That's What I Call Shoot 'em Ups, Galway's music collection on cartridge, and these next 2 items are also music. I went to the Commodore show and came home with a load of music. So next up was the Shadow of the Beast album from Psygnosis, being sold by Cytronics. Try saying that 10 times fast. So this is the double CD, which has the music from Shadow of the Beast, Shadow of the Beast 2, and Shadow of the Beast 3. So you are talking, what is that? Almost 77 tracks of music from those 3 games. So I thought that's got to be worth picking up. Definitely. And then the next up, which was actually a little surprise, the next up, because I thought it was just music until I literally drove home listening to it. The next one up is the Cytronics, this time. 20 years of gaming. So all the music from all of their games, well, from a lot of their games. So you've got 21 tracks, I think, on disc 1. And then disc 2, I wasn't expecting. So disc 2 is more a history of Cytronics. Talks about when the company started, how it started, what it did. Back in the I didn't realise it was that old. I didn't know it was 20 years old. But back in the 90s, and now how it's continued in its new world, doing all the things it's been doing, and how it made deals with different publishers or different game creators, represented them. I've always been a big fan of this company, but only since probably when I realised they existed. When I got back into the Commodore 64, I was looking at the homebrew scene, and these guys came out, and I've been buying their stuff ever since. And I have easily 50 odd plus games, maybe even 60 plus games from their range. So yeah, this was nice because the first CD is just pure music, and the second CD there's a bit of back and forth discussion, chat going on about the history of the company, and then various bits of music that were representation of that period of time. Maybe there were remixes of old games and so on and so forth. So yeah, a really nice listen, actually. It got me all the way home. We listened to both CDs on the drive home. So yeah, that is it. That is pretty much the pickups from the event. I definitely could have come home with more, but there wasn't any more to get. So it was a bit like, and I don't tend to go for the big books. I have had a couple of the big books. So the Retron, Fusion, and a few other people, they've got those big, they are very nice books, but I find once I have a few of those, they just don't get read and they collect dust somewhere. And I want room for games. I want room for stuff I can play with. But yeah, hope you enjoyed this video. I hope you sort of got a bit of an insight into what the event was all about. And yeah, we'll leave it at that. All right, well, thanks very much, and I'll see you again soon. Bye bye. It's so good. Automatic clean of this. With a funky groove. That's so good.
Try this.
It's brilliant.